Franchising is the most misunderstood and most overlooked form of entrepreneurship. We're here to educate you and help you find the entrepreneur within. Franchising is not all about the French fries.
We find that individuals who are exploring business ownership tend to have a lot of misperceptions and misunderstandings about the franchise industry. So what we want to do is help prospective business owners make confident and educated decisions before moving forward or not moving forward with a business. Welcome to Unpredicted Entrepreneur.
Hello and welcome to episode 102 of Unpredicted Entrepreneur. My name is Sara Waskow and I'm joined by my colleague Roxanne Rapske, and we created this podcast to bring you information and education about franchising and business ownership. We today are thrilled to welcome our guest, Joe and Mandy Chapman. Joe and Mandy are the co-owners of Stand Strong Fencing of Fort Worth. So Joe and Mandy, welcome to Unpredicted Entrepreneur.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you today. We had worked together about a year and a half ago, helping you explore your next career path. So share with us a little bit about your background and what led you to be the owners of a fencing company.
Yeah, so I'll start 30 years in the mortgage business. Mandy and I started talking a couple of years ago about what's plan B as we get older and getting into retirement. Neither one of us are going to be those that sit around, do nothing. So we started looking into opening a business. You know, what would we do? What would we start? And as we were going down that path, I remembered you and I have been in networking groups together, and we thought about, well, let's take a look at franchising. Instead of reinventing the wheel, let's take a look at what's out there and see if that fits for us. And so we started down the discovery path with you on looking at different options on franchising. And you introduced us to Horsepower Brands and Stand Strong Fencing. And it seemed to be a really good fit for Mandy and I both for what we bring to the table and what we were looking for.
Yeah, we thought we would start off and I would kind of run it and Joe would keep his job. In the past, we met when we were both in mortgage. And so he was on the sales side and I was on the operation side. And we thought I could handle all of that. And then he could work and do the sales, you know, in his evenings and weekends and run a sales team for us. So that played into the role of what business would look like that we could both have our strengths and weaknesses and make work while he was still working at his job.
Yes, I remember that conversation. And in the beginning, you were not overly thrilled with the thought of the franchising path. You were a little hesitant, which is understandable. It's all about learning. And then I, always try to share with people, just keep an open mind. And then if you're still not excited about it, once you learn about it, then we'll just go a different direction and realize this isn't the right path. I know we initially, to your point, started looking at businesses where Joe could keep his job. And you really thought you wanted brick and mortar because you kind of wanted a place to go with people to kind of come to you, right?
Exactly. That's what I wanted. And, the price goes significantly up when you go to brick and mortar and you have more at investment. And so we ended up swaying away from that. And then we did the gamut of home services. I mean, we looked at the drawer organizers and closet organizers and just all those different things. And one day I went to Joe, I said, you're going to be in sales. And can you imagine going into a woman's closet and telling her how to organize her closet?
No.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah. No, you sit and think about that a minute and you're like, yeah, I really can't see that happening. So,
right. So we were talking to Sara and, Sara brought up, one of her past clients that recently had started with the fencing. And my first thing was like, fencing, no. And, but we were like, okay, let's take a look at it.
So I'm going to stop you for a second. When you first said fencing, no, did you just feel like it didn't excite you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought if you're going to risk, take a big risk, and do something.
Really going to be over fences?
Right. I was like, it needs to be something that you're passionate about. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so many people think that.
Right. And so, but really the more that we really thought it out and the more we listened to Horsepower Brands, we love being outside, right? So that's something we could do outside and we didn't have to go into someone's home and their intimate space, and we could go outside and do something that was just as important, and
I like, sales background. I kind of like that immediate gratification of a sale. Well, we can roll in on a new install on a fence and within, a day or two, completely transform the outside of a home. We're not remodeling that's going to take 4 weeks and tear up someone's house and really put them out. We can honestly get in there and change the entire look of the outside of the house in 2 days at times. And so from the sales side and what excites me, that seemed to really fit in. And Mandy and I have had a background of remodeling and we've done some house flipping. So we know the home services business. We knew some of the challenges we had in that with other subcontractors, contractors, and really felt there's a better way to do this. And we wanted to bring that to it.
We deserved it. Other people deserved it. And we knew we could do it.
That's a big point. And a lot of times when we show home services concepts, people's minds will immediately go to it's saturated, but they don't understand there's a different level of service sometimes with the franchisor. When you're part of a franchise and you're bringing this level of professionalism, you're showing up uniformed in clean trucks that are marked and showing up on time, all the things. And then even the customer service afterwards and spot checking to make sure the jobs are being done right, quality control. And you're not getting that a lot of times with just a independent that's just doing this, right?
Right. They're on their own. You're kind of segueing into probably something that you may have thought about talking about later. But with the horsepower brands, like going with them and the support they provided for us, them, helping us with our website, our Google business page, doing all the things that they did. It allowed us to go in and do what we did. And it made it easier than if we'd had to do it on our own.
Figure it out all on your own. Yes, absolutely.
Their proprietary software on the estimating, the pricing, being able to leverage their national accounts on our suppliers, being able to buy a higher quality material at a better price. So I don't have to go to the big box stores and maybe buy an inferior quality of product just to keep the pricing in line. All of those things came into play. And we have jobs, and we have had jobs where the reviews clearly stated, hey, they showed up in marked trucks, wrapped trucks. They had their uniform shirts on. It did bring a little more professionalism. And, it's one of those when we started looking at fencing, all of a sudden you start driving around going, there is a lot of need for fencing. And I tell people all the time, it's just not neighborhoods. The amount of commercial business that we have had our eyes open to in this wasn't even on my radar when we started. And now commercial is a big piece of our business.
Well, and there's something with the ground here too. The dirt, like fences don't they start leaning. Like
the clay. The swelling and, all of that.
I think
the wind.
And the wind. Definitely storms will impact. One thing I want to clarify, you've mentioned horsepower brands. So I just kind of want our listeners to understand they are an organization that owns multiple home service brands. And so Stand Strong happens to be one of them. They have roofing company and blinds and just a variety, HVAC, a variety of home service. And so the support you're referencing is what they're able to provide to you as this organization with, multiple franchises under their realm, and then all these franchisees, so they can provide that level of support that would be almost impossible or a much extended ramp up time if you were trying to figure all that out on your own.
That ties into when you said in the beginning that, I was kind of hesitant to the franchise world. And part of that was that royalty fee. But when you start looking at it, the franchisor, what we got for the fee that we paid, it made it make sense. It made it make sense.
Well, and you talked about this on the call. You felt that the royalty you were paying with horsepower gave you support far and above what you had experienced with some of the others. So what you mentioned some of them, but was there anything else that you?
Well, they had the support all the way from, setting up, all of our technical digital stuff, our website and our GBP and all of that, down to I have a bookkeeper, right, that helps me get in line because that's a tough job. So she helps me keep on task and put procedures in place and all of that. They have Z Recruiting that, helps with recruiting if you want sales or project manager or whatever. They have...
We have a business coach.
Business coach.
A business coach that has
Marketing
15,
coach.
20 years in the fencing industry. So someone where you can go ask questions, or I'm into a project, How would you bid this out? Things like that. You have those resources.
Yeah, organic social media. We have a creative team, and they said that I single-handedly took over that when I got there. I mean, I really used them for everything to help me design everything, my print ads, everything that I did. So, I mean, I just had that support at my fingertips. And if you ask, you received. And that was really important.
And that's a really good point, because I think a lot of people pay the fee, they join a franchise, they're paying royalties, and then they don't reach out and ask for the support. And the support's there, so use it.
There.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The call center. I don't think you mentioned that. There's also a call center.
A call center. Yep. We have the call center.
What does that do for you?
Well, you have 24-hour access. If somebody sees one of our ads, or they're flipping through a local magazine that we've advertised in, it's 11 o'clock at night, and they want to call and set an appointment for an estimate, they reach a live person. And it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can reach a live person that will book the appointment, put it on our calendar, send us a notification. And then, next morning we call, introduce ourselves, and then kind of follow up on that and confirm the appointments and so forth. But as a small business owner, I wouldn't be able to answer the phone 24 hours a day.
No.
If we're out on a job and we're working with a crew or a homeowner, voicemail is sales. Voicemail will kill sales, in my opinion. Yeah. Too many people, you get a voicemail, you hang up, you call the next one in line. You're Googling the businesses, you see them on there, next one down. And so this allows them to actually get a live person, get it pre-qualified a little bit so you know what that client's looking for. But not only just get it over to you, they have access to our calendars, and we set our availability, and they will book appointments and have my calendar filled up the next couple of days for appointments to go out on.
And that's covered in your royalty, whereas not 24/7, but even during the day, you would have to hire somebody to sit and answer your phones, right? And
and they'll call us too. Like if there's something the customer really just needs to know or needs help with, or if the scheduling's not there, but the customer's adamant, they'll pick up the phone and call us, and say, hey.
Yeah, they'll do a warm handoff. Hey, Joe, I've got this client on the phone. They've got some questions we can't answer. Push it through. I'll take it from there. But yes, it's not a voicemail. It's not my cell phone blowing up all the time when you're in front of another client and working on their project. So it's huge.
But it was all stuff that was put there in place. I didn't have to go look for all these different things and go different places. They had it there for me. So the resources were there.
Right? It is amazing. And so we'll have to remember this, because we get a lot of clients that are very worried about the royalties. And Sara always says, it's not the royalty you need to worry about. You need to worry about what you're getting for that
fee.
the
royalty,
the value.
If you're not getting the support, but you're paying the royalty, that's one thing, right?
Right.
But you need to find the company that has the services to justify the spend that you're going to have.
Perfect. So you guys have been in business a little over a year. Which is very exciting. You started with 3 territories and you have just recently expanded. You acquired some additional territory.
4 territories.
We started with 4.
Oh, yeah, you started with 4.
We bought 3.
And we bought 3 more.
So now you own 7.
We own 7.
And so that's exciting. You're making, you've made a lot of changes in a year. You've grown really fast.
You know what? The key to business ownership is pivot, right? And so, you grow, and when things aren't working, you change. And when opportunities come, you take them, and you roll with the punches every day.
Yeah, we really felt like opportunities only come up every so often. And the opportunity to expand into the 3, yes, maybe we weren't quite ready for it yet. But if you're always waiting until you're ready, it's probably passed you by at that time. So when those came up, they're territories that are right up next to our current territory. It's some areas we've talked about that we really wanted to get into. And when that opportunity came up, it was just like, we have to do this. This is what we do now. This is the business we own, we run. And part of getting into franchising and being able to buy multiple territories is we wanted to build something we could scale. And if that opportunity presented itself, how do we walk away from that? Because that goes against everything that we were getting into this for. So yes, we closed on that a few weeks ago. We are starting to work on the marketing in that territory and get our brand out there. So that is, so we've been in a year and we're almost starting over again in a new territory. But
I always tell my clients, I will make sure that you are not bored. So
there's no boredom. There's no boredom.
The due diligence process is just the beginning, and then you get in. But it's very exciting to see that you guys have made these changes over the short amount of time and scaled like you wanted to scale. You mentioned that you started in your home, right? And now you guys have a location.
We do.
So you can have an office now and meet with your contractors there and maybe store some supplies and things like that.
We fabricate our gates in there. We do all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
So yeah, it's very nice.
So let's back up for a second and tell us how you went from mortgages to fences. Like, what was that learning curve like, and what's it been like? And are you enjoying, like, also talk about your roles and if you're enjoying them.
Yeah. I'll start on how I went from mortgages to fencing. I've been in sales all my adult life.
So sales is sales.
Sales is sales. And I've always been a big believer that if you're good in sales, you can sell whatever widget comes along.
Yeah.
But you got to believe in the widget. You have to know the widget, but you can sell it. And so the biggest challenge for me was learning the fencing piece of it. Sales, marketing, things like that. That wasn't really my concern. It was finding out, what do I need to know about fencing? And it doesn't sound like a whole lot. Hey, it's a wood fence. Here you go, this and that. The truth is, there is more to it than I ever thought. But how we learned and what we did was spend a lot of time with our suppliers, picking their brains, learning the different products, whether it's different type of cedar or pressure treated pine, or you're getting into chain link, ornamental steel, whatever it is, learning that. Also spend a lot of time with my installation crews, how they do it, why they do it that way. Once you know that, it really, if you're sales background, you're looking at your closing percentage. And so the closing percentage has continued to grow from day one till now. And it's because of product knowledge. It's, the sales techniques and tools are always there. I mean, it's been ingrained in me forever. It was learning that product, having that confidence when you're talking about that product. Imposter syndrome. You are the fence expert now.
Yeah.
You spend the time and learn it, and you become the fence expert. So I'd say whatever you're getting into, spend a lot of time with your suppliers. If you're doing something where you're using installers like that, spend time with them. Learn why they do things, how they do things. I've changed different materials I've used based on feedback from my installers on this type of, whether it's a bracket or whatever. This type is a better bracket, but it's also easier. It speeds us up. We can have more efficient. We can do more during this time. And so those are things I've learned from it. You take over the marketing.
So, I worked a long time ago. That's how we met, when I was working, and then we got married and we had kids, and I took time off from work, then I was room mom and Girl Scout leader and helping with the Pee Wee ministry at our church and doing all of that. And I was just kind of starting, once my kids got out of the house, my daughter opened her own insurance company. So I was starting to help her with her marketing and kind of dipping my toes back in. And I was no way near probably prepared for what I jumped into. I knew it was going to be hard, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work, but you don't know what you don't know until you know it. But the good thing is that my operations background and my momhood and all of that was, what you have to do. And it's not, I have to do it. And it's not a choice of we're going to do it and we're going to make our list and we're going to check them off and we're going to accomplish everything. And so I take care of all the bookkeeping, the social media, the marketing. I do my own share of networking. I joined the chamber and got involved with the diplomats from the chamber. And we just, kind of jumped into it. And it was just adding, all the time, constantly adding, what do I need to do to improve my social media? What do I need to do to improve my Google ranking? What do I do? And it was just throwing it in there, all the while keeping up with that mentality that we had the customer deserved the best customer experience. I mean, we tell them out the gate. I mean, the first things that we talk about is we're going to provide you with 5-star customer service. And so, it was a lot. some days you feel like, hey, we're finally calming down. Some days like we take over a new area and here we go again.
Now your hair's on fire again.
Here we go again. But I think it's been really good for us. I think that we did have our strengths, from the very beginning. His was always sales. Mine was always operations. Doing this together, it really lended into our best strengths, and so it's worked out really well.
I really appreciate the fact that you shared that you transferred your mom skills, because we will work with ladies who have been stay-at-home moms and they are fearful that they don't have anything to contribute to a business because they've been out of the workforce for a while. But we always want them to keep in mind, like, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was very profound that something about knowing what you have to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You getting it done. And
clean the house, do the laundry, get the dinner cooked. I mean, get your kids everywhere. You have to organize things.
You're project managers and you're leaders.
Exactly.
And, you have to delegate as well. And so I really am glad you pointed that out, because I think it's really important for listeners to understand that just because you've been out of the workforce for a while does not mean that you're not qualified to own and run a business. And I love that your skills offset each other, because I know you had a little anxiety about doing the sales piece. And, initially Joe was going to stay employed. So that would have been somebody you were going to have to hire to do.
And join in and help out, so.
And then Joe just got more excited and just decided, I'm out of
here. We went through the whole process, right? And, we did the training at home. We went to academy, and to do it the way we wanted to do it service, we quickly learned that he needed to be in it. And that every day that he spent in mortgage was every day in the past and not in the future, right?
Yeah, this was our future.
So this was our future.
And we might as well go all in.
So I cried a lot and I prayed a lot. And my pastor at church probably thought, oh my God, what is wrong with her? Because every Sunday I was crying in church, right? So when we finally came to the conclusion of what it was time for Joe just to jump into it, I went up to him at the end and I said, I came here for a specific reason. And I said, in this series that you've been doing, really helped me. He said, did you get your answer? And I said, I did. So don't want to cry about that, but yes.
That's awesome.
Well, and you got way out of your comfort zone, which is such a big thing, because when you go into business, it's out of, even you with all the sales experience, it was still out of your comfort zone because you had to learn something you didn't know.
Absolutely. For the last 20 years, I was the go-to guy with the answers and knew what to do. And now I'm in it. Now I'm the new guy in the business, and I'm asking a ton of questions. So it's even on that, the sales is there, but you're in a completely new industry that you don't know everything. You don't know a whole lot when you get into it. But I would tell anybody out there, you can learn it.
Yeah,
you just have to. It's don't be afraid of it, but spend the time to do it. If whatever path you're going on, spend the time to do it. You have to invest. And truth is, you're going to make a mistake. We've made a mistake. We've made more than a few. Just don't repeat them. Learn from them. And, it makes you better as you go along. And now mistakes are a lot less. Hey, we still run into some new stuff, but it's so much easier for me now. I'll stop there. I'm right to my supplier. Hey, I've run into this product. Tell me all about it. Or talking to my crews. Hey, we've got an opportunity to do this project. We've got one on the table now that would be new. Talking to my installation team, they're like, we've done one of these in the past. Here's what we need to watch out for. Here's what you're going. So we're working on a bid for a big commercial job, but stop and ask the people you're working with. If they've got experience, they can help you quite a bit. Yeah. And don't be afraid to learn.
Lean on people.
Yeah.
Lean on them until you know it all, right?
Well, you're kind of segueing.
You're never going to know it all, but
Well, you're kind of segueing into lessons learned.
Yeah. My lesson learned, we probably held on too long with just Mandy and I running the company. She was doing all operations marketing. I was running all of sales and project managing. That kept me busy. I guess it was January, we started talking about, I may be the one holding the company back a little bit right now to scale, because there's only so many hours in the day and I'm running from here to here to here to here. And so we decided at that point to hire a project manager. Made a huge difference. Yes, training them, getting them up to speed. But what he has allowed me to let go of to focus on sales and business development. Truth is, I would tell you hire before you need to. Yes, we all have a little of that control freak in us. That's probably why we're looking at starting a business, because you want to run it your way. But the truth is, probably needed to hire that position several months prior. So my lesson learned was I probably held on a little bit too long trying to do everything myself on that piece of it. Got some help. And now we're seeing the rewards of that. Right. Our sales numbers are taking off. So I would tell you that was mine.
My thing is, I'm on the op side for a reason, right? Sometimes I can be very antisocial. Like I want to go in and check my list off and do things, right? So I had to get out of my comfort zone and joining the chambers and getting like really involved on the diplomats and going out networking. I mean, I stepped as far out of my comfort zone that I could get on that aspect. But it just makes you grow. And really it's that connection. It's part of that customer service experience, right? I mean, it starts making, those connections with your people out there. So, and organic lead, Jen,
we say all the time, people do business with those they know, like, and trust.
Exactly.
So to be out there and in the community and building those relationships is important. So you've given us great advice, great tips already. But just as we wind things down a little bit, what would be, for any of our listeners that are thinking about business ownership, what tip or piece of advice would you like to share?
So mine would kind of lean into that, going out there and networking and all of that. One of the things, I was so busy concentrating on all the little things, right, in the beginning and getting it right, that I didn't go out and organic lead gen right away. If you're expecting all your leads to come in on paid, it's going to get very expensive, right? So from the moment that you've decided which way you're going, you need to start letting people know, and you need to start building relationships with people, and finding that, because an organic lead is free. Yeah. Right. And if you're doing any kind of paid marketing, it adds up. So I just say, scream it, to everybody that's willing to listen, what you're doing and how you're excited about it and how you're going to make a difference in whatever industry you just decide to go into.
Great.
Excellent
Thank you.
advice.
Anything else you want to add, Joe?
Yeah, I would say, especially if you're getting into the franchising, it is your business. Don't think the franchisor is going to deliver everything to you. Back to the organic lead gen, the franchisor is not going to feed you all of your leads and all of your business. They're going to support you like crazy, and yes, they will help bring some in. But if you're thinking, okay, my doors are open, all right, start handing me business, that's going to be a tough road. It is your business. You need to go out and build that business. Lean on that franchisor to support you. They're not going to do it for you. And I don't think you need them to do it for you. You need to do it for yourself. It's your business. Have that ownership and run with it.
And the last thing is to give yourself grace. Because like we've said before, you're going to make mistakes, right? You're not going to do something right. You're learning. And so my key is to give yourself grace like you'd want to be given, or how you would give it to other people. Yeah. So.
Wow. Excellent tips.
That's great, because I think we're all really hard on ourselves. And I know you mentioned you tend to be a perfectionist, and
she's really hard on me.
That's why you guys are so good together, right?
That's right. That's right. So,
well, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, how would they find you?
Oh, easily. Our work number is 817-767-3034.
And then website is Stand Strong Fencing of Fort Worth.
Awesome.
All right. Okay. Very good. So anybody needs a fence, give them a call, go to their website, and they'll be happy to help you out.
Yeah. Perfect. You'll get 5-star customer service.
There you go.
Lots of good Google reviews. I've seen them.
Yeah.
So.
We're proud of those.
Good. As you should be.
As you should be.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, for those of you listening, thank you for joining in on this entertaining episode of Unpredicted Entrepreneur. Please follow Sara and I on LinkedIn. We're very active there. I'm Roxanne Rapske, Rapske. Sara with no H, Waskow, Waskow. You can also please follow us on our YouTube channel and subscribe, Frannet of Dallas and Fort Worth. You can learn more at frannet.com. And lastly, Unpredicted Entrepreneur is available anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.